think most of you have seen they released my physical. I did the physical on Friday, and I understand it was a very good report. The numbers were perfect, and I took a cognitive exam, and I would challenge anybody here to meet those marks because I have a perfect mark. Were you impressed by that?
I am impressed, and I'm not going to take that test.
But you're not that surprised, right?
I'm not surprised at all.
You aren't. It's good. Because I have a lot of respect for you as a reporter. Do you have any questions? Yes,
sir. Could you give us a...
You always have questions.
I always have questions. What is your message to markets tomorrow? There's some ambiguity, or at least some questions about whether there were exceptions or exemptions.
There shouldn't be ambiguity. We have a tremendous country. We have a country that's much richer today than it was a few months ago. We have a financial system that's very respected, and we're going to do great. And we were taken advantage of and ripped off by every country all over the world, almost, just about. They laughed at us. We were run by foolish people, and they took advantage of our country, and we're just not going to let that happen anymore.
In terms of the big, beautiful bill,
right?
When do you expect that to get done?
Well, I hope soon. The big, beautiful bill. It's the big, beautiful tax cuts, really, and regulation cuts and many other things. It passed its first test, as you know, the last couple of weeks, but particularly during last week, where we had a vote. We won in the House, we won in the Senate, and that was a big chunk of it. And now they're going to eventually take, pretty soon, a final vote. And the big, beautiful tax cuts and regulation cuts and all of the other things that are included in there will go into effect. And I think it'll be probably the largest tax cuts in the history of our country, the most comprehensive regulation cuts in the history of our country, and many, many other things, including border wall money. We built 571 miles of wall, but now we can add to it. As you know, we've just concluded a period of time where the border was the most secure it's been in the history of our country. We're very proud of that. And the other week, a couple of weeks ago, last week actually, 5 people came in, 5. And under Biden it was 500,000 people came in. What they've done to our country should never be forgotten. Never be forgotten what they've done, and that the news hasn't reported it correctly is a disgrace. But what they've done to our country to allow these millions and millions of people in from prisons and mental institutions and state asylums should never be forgotten. Because we're going to be living with that for a long time. This is tremendous work, tremendous effort. It's one thing, they cause massive inflation, they cause a lot of problems. But what they've done to our border and to our country, you should never forget that. And you should never, as journalists, allow people to forget it. Yeah.
Mr. President, can you talk a little bit about the semiconductor tariff that you posted on Truth Social today? What is the timeline for that? And I believe it was Jameson Greer said today that those will not be negotiable. Once those tariffs are in place, they're non-negotiable. Is that right?
But the tariffs will be in place in the not distant future because, as you know, like we did with steel, like we did with automobiles, like we did with aluminum, which are now fully on, we'll be doing that with semiconductors, with chips, and numerous other things. And that'll take place in the very near future.
And all the things...
And what we did is we want to uncomplicate it from a lot of companies because that's really where it should be, ideally. We wanted to uncomplicate it from a lot of other companies because we want to make our chips and semiconductors and other things in our country. And I will tell you, another one is pharmaceuticals, drugs and pharmaceuticals. We want to make our drugs in this country. And by placing a tariff on the companies that are not in this country, they're going to move into our country, and we're going to have our drugs made in the United States so that in case of war, in case of whatever, we're not relying on China and various other countries to supply us with drugs, which is not a good idea. And it'll happen very fast. It'll all happen very fast.
Do you know what rate the semiconductor tariff?
I'm going to be announcing it over the next week.
Can you confirm reports that the Social Security Administration has classified thousands of immigrants as dead, even though they're still living?
That's what I hear. I mean, that's what has been reported to me. Dead and also very inaccurately. And from the standpoint of Social Security, it's a horrible thing. From the standpoint of the strength of Social Security, when you take dead people out and all of the people that they're talking about that should not be in there, it's going to make our system much stronger. We're making Social Security stronger. The Democrats are destroying Social Security. Medicare and Medicaid also, yes.
Do you have a reaction to Russia's Palm Sunday attack on Ukraine?
I think it was terrible, and I was told they made a mistake, but I think it's a horrible thing. I think the whole war is a horrible thing. I think the war is, for that war to have started, is an abuse of power. This country would have never allowed that war to have started if I were president. That war is a shame. Millions of people are dead that should be alive. Cities are being destroyed all over Ukraine. The whole culture is gone. It's, or certainly very severely hurt. You know, the chapels, the churches, the spirals, all of the things that they had in Ukraine were among the most beautiful anywhere in the world. Most of them been knocked down and blown up into a million pieces. But most importantly, you have millions of people dead that shouldn't be dead. Think of it. Think of what a rigged election means. We would have had we wouldn't have had the war in Ukraine. We wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine situation. We wouldn't have had October 7th, Israel, the Middle East. We wouldn't have had inflation. We wouldn't have had the most embarrassing day or period in the history of our country. That's Afghanistan. One of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country, Afghanistan. All of these things wouldn't have taken place. Think of it. We wouldn't have had inflation. But millions of people would be alive except for the fact that the election were rigged, because that war would have never started and Putin never would have started that war. Okay, any other
When
questions?
you say they made a mistake in the attack, you said they made you were told they made a mistake. Do you mean it was unintentional?
They made a mistake. I believe it was. Look, you're going to ask them. This is Biden's war. This is not my war. I've been here for a very short period of time. This is a war that was under Biden. He gave him billions and billions of dollars. He should have never allowed, if he had any brain, which he didn't have and doesn't have, and now it's being proven, he wouldn't have allowed that war to start. I would have absolutely not. That war would never have taken place. But remember this is Biden's war. I'm just trying to get it stopped so that we can save a lot of lives. They happen to be Ukrainian and Russian lives. But all I want to do is get it stopped.
Witkoff, sir, did you meet with Mr. Witkoff today?
I did. I met with him, and he had some very good meetings on the Middle East, and he also had good meetings having to do with Russia, Ukraine.
Can you give us an update on Iran?
Well, we're going to be doing it very shortly. Iran also. It was another way. I met with a different group of people in Iran, and we'll be making a decision on Iran very quickly. Yeah, please.
Back on Russia, Ukraine, resolving that war has taken a little longer than you predicted. Can you pinpoint the reasons why?
It's a deeply seated war. And again, it's a war that people didn't expect would start. And in my administration, there was no chance that it would start. And it didn't, by the way. You know, I went 4 years and it didn't start. People say, oh, well, how do you know? Well, I know because I went 4 years and it didn't start. You would have never had that war. It would have never started. Putin never would have started it. I mean, I think, frankly, he had so little respect for Biden that he started it for that reason. And obviously, he didn't get along very well with Zelensky or anybody else. And now you have millions of dead people. And those people, every one of them should be alive right now.
Mr. President, are you going to announce tariffs on things like iPhones, tablets?
Well, that's going to be announced very soon, and we'll be discussing it. But we'll also talk to companies. You know, you have to show a certain flexibility. Nobody should be so rigid. You have to have a certain flexibility. And we're doing really well, and financially our country is going to be stronger than it's ever been.
So some products there's flexibility for some products?
For some products, yeah, maybe.
Can you say what kinds?
No, I'll be announcing it in the not too distant future, but it's going to be separately announced.
Mr. President, do you have any reaction to...
Very much like, if you look, automobiles, we have a tariff. Nobody's complaining about it. Went through the process. We have the tariff. Steel, aluminum, and some other things. So, and by the way, our country is taking in billions and billions of dollars on those tariffs. Billions of dollars. And maybe almost as importantly, or maybe more importantly, automobile companies, steel companies and factories, and aluminum companies and factories are opening up in our country. But we're taking in billions of dollars on just those three categories.
Speaking of steel, can you talk about your conversations with Nippon Steel and what?
Yeah, we're talking about different things, but I think that the United States Steel, one of the great companies of the world, U.S. Steel, should remain in our country. I felt that for a long time. This was one of the greatest companies in the world for a period of time, for a long period of time. It was the single greatest company in America. And I just don't think a foreign company should control it.
No, Mr. President,
And you know what? They're not going to have to, because the tariffs are going to make U.S. Steel do so well.
I heard a report at your NRCC dinner and I was at. A guy was at my table. He said that Mexico has been dumping raw sewage in our treatment water.
Yeah.
We can't keep up with it. Some of it's spilling in the ocean, forcing Navy SEALs to train north of Coronado
That's
Island.
right. And it floats up.
And it floats up
past Los Angeles,
yeah.
like everything else.
Yeah. Any talks of trying
Mexico has a faulty sewage system that's dumping sewage into our part of the ocean.
Yeah.
And the Pacific Ocean's not looking too good on many occasions. Sometimes it stops and sometimes it breaks. And when it breaks, very bad and disgusting things happen, and they shouldn't be doing that.
So
Mr.
we're
President,
about
do you
to
have any
wait.
reaction to the governor of Pennsylvania? His mansion was set on fire. Do you have any reaction to
I just heard about it. No, I have to look into it.
You got the perfect health report. Everybody in the press wants to know this. How do you do it, Mr. President? I haven't set up at 2 a.m. in the morning since I was 25, and now we're 2:16 in the morning having a press conference. How do you do it?
Well, we had a couple of them at 2 o'clock in the morning now. Biden, I guarantee.
You're wearing the press out.
Biden was sleeping for 10 hours already. No, I have a lot of respect for the press, really, I do. Some of it's fake news, but a lot of it's good, like you. And really, some of it's totally fake and some like 60 Minutes tonight.
Well, how do you stay so healthy? How do you stay so energized?
Because I enjoy what I'm doing and I like the results. I think we're making America great again, and it makes me feel good.
That
and
feels-
probably keeps me happy. Okay? Thank you. That's a nice question. I like this.
Well, I mean,
guy.
everyone's
Thank
wondering,
you.
like, how in the world do you do it, Mr. President?
No, no, no.
2 o'clock in the morning. I'm 55 years old and I can't keep up with you.
55. What a nice age that is. Have a good time, everybody. Thanks.
Catch the end of the Masters?
Oh, what a game.
yeah.
Well, I have to congratulate Rory. That showed tremendous courage. He was having a hard time. But it showed great guts and stamina and courage. People have no idea how tough that is. And he came back. He could be proud.
Have you spoken to
Actually,
Bryson?
it's better for him that it happened that way, because that showed real courage. To have come back from what could have been a tragedy was amazing. Did you watch it?
Yeah, we did. We were in the press van.
Pretty amazing.
We
right?
knew when you were pulling out when it was over.
Oh, no, I wanted to watch it.
You weren't going
You
nowhere.
knew there was no way. Even for you people, there was no way. That was it. It's one of my favorite shows ever. The Masters is, to me, maybe my favorite sporting show. And it showed, and, you know, Justin Rose was great. They're great athletes under tremendous pressure. But unless you're a golfer, you don't understand it. It's 1/100 of an inch makes a difference between a great shot and a horrible shot. Think of it. Just a little small percentage of an inch. And literally, in some cases, 1/100 of an inch
right, Sean.
is the difference between winning and losing.
Sean's
Pretty
telling you to
amazing.
get out of here.
Who is
Sean wants you to be
We're
safe.
landing.
Let's go.
How's he doing?
He's doing a great job.
But he's getting tired being down there. Anyway, thank you very much,
Are you
everybody. We're
close
going to have
to-
some good time. And I hope you enjoyed the fights last night.
Oh, it was awesome.
Now, those are tough cookies. You think anybody in the field here could
I
take
can't
them in a
take
fight?
a punch to the head, Mr. President. I
No.
can't take it.
We don't want that, but they're amazing. Dana White's amazing. Have a good time, everybody.
Sir,
Thank you. Appreciate it.